boy! Hey, moron! I'm the water boy! I've got a wooden spoon! Stop making fun of me!
Dang!
Wow! Did he no?
Who that? Who that?
Welcome to Stump On Sports. Hi there, I'm Daryl Henry and I pastor The Gathering. We meet every Sunday morning here in the Battlefield Cinemas in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia at 10 a.m. and we'd love to have you to come and join us. Well, here we are just a couple of weeks into the new year, and one of the themes that I've been thinking about for this year is the idea of grace. And one of the thoughts that I had about that, first of all, is that we are saved by grace. And that's very important for us to remember, because in America, we feel like we need to earn everything we get. And there's a good aspect to that. There's something good about earning things. But when it comes to our faith in Jesus Christ and our salvation, it's something that is given to us as a gift. In Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 8 and 9, the Bible says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, that not of yourselves, it is a gift of God." So as we begin this new year, the first thing I would like for us to think about is that we are saved, delivered, made followers of Christ by God's grace. It is a gift. It's something that we don't earn. Back several years ago, a cake company came up with this cake mix that you only added water. And so they thought, wow, this will be simple. Every housewife in America will make these cakes. But guess what? Nobody bought it because they felt like they weren't doing anything. They weren't cooking. So the cake mix company went back and changed the recipe to where not only did you add water, but you also added an egg. And so it started flying off the shelves. Why? Because we wanted to feel like that we were a part of the process, that we were doing something, we were cooking. And a box with just water and cake mix didn't feel like cooking. You just put it in a pan and there it was. And so that's the way we are often about our salvation. We have this misconception that we can be good enough or we can earn it some way. And so Paul in Ephesians says, no, it is by grace. Grace means something you receive that you don't deserve, and it is a gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. And by the way, let me say to you that that grace doesn't stop after you become a believer in Christ. He still accepts you because of God's grace. So as we begin this new year, I want you to relax. I want you to take it easy, and I want you to understand that there is nothing you can do to go to heaven except trust Jesus Christ. You know, C.S. Lewis was asked one time, what is the difference between Christianity and all the other religions of the world? And all the other religions, false religions by the way, say you have to do something. Christianity says done, because Jesus Christ did it on the cross. He died on the cross for your sins, was buried again, and rose the third day. So accept God's gift, relax, enjoy it, and walk in His grace in 2015. Now you're going to enjoy the show tonight. I'm going to throw it over to Stump and Deb and all the gang.
Thank you, Brother Daryl, and welcome to Stump On Sports.
Late night.
Glad to see Daryl back with a new message from God tonight to kick off the show. Our leadoff hitter returns. Every week he's been standing in front of that Christmas tree, and I told him at church last Sunday, I said, you need to get us a new leadoff, and he did, and thank you so much for that. Special show for us tonight. I'm really excited because somebody that I respect and love, who's been as much to my life and many, many more as anybody I know. Coach Lynn Murdock's here with us tonight, along with his family, his beautiful wife Harriet and Beth and Mark and well, I mean, Mark's not beautiful, Beth is too. But, they're here with us tonight on the show, and tomorrow during the day, and we'll talk more about that later, they'll be having Coach Murdock's 80th birthday. But now he was real quick to tell Deb a while ago that he has not turned 80 as of yet. So that'll be tomorrow, and everybody be invited for that down at the Rossville Community Center. But Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking time to be with us tonight.
Thank you. We appreciate the invitation, and it's just good to be here. And we're looking forward to all these things that are going to happen in the next day or so. And,
are you looking forward to seeing all your old players and all the old cheerleaders? I shouldn't
Yes,
say old,
I-
but the former players and cheerleaders.
Yes, I tell you, I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of these players and students that I taught, and ones that I've known down through the years. Many of them I haven't seen probably in years, and so I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people that I haven't seen in quite a while.
Beth, you and Mark, for the love of your father, y'all have worked real hard to put this 80th birthday party together. Y'all want to talk about it I know you were on Sport Talk the other day, Mark, and you want to talk a little bit about this and some of the memories that you've already got from this.
Oh, the Sport Talk, that was a lot of fun. But the way this started, my sister texted me, and she said, hey, you know, Dad's going to be 80. We need to have a party. And she wanted to have a big party. And at first I was like, I texted her back and said, I don't know, maybe a family reunion. But anyway, I called her within probably 10 minutes and said, we've got to do this. So we've been preparing since November, since Thanksgiving. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's from 1 to 5 tomorrow at the Annex. And we want a lot of people to come, just friends, family, alumni, Rossville community. Does anyone that knows my father just come to the Annex? We'd like to see you.
That should be a big crowd for all the people that know Coach Murdock and his family. And you know, and I must say, when we first married, I didn't know as much about sports as maybe I thought I did. Definitely didn't know the impact that a coach will have, not just on the football field and team, but throughout life and the life lessons. You know, Coach, I just commend you that, you know, living with Stump and listening to stories and seeing the everyday life that he applied your teachings to. I was just so impressed, and he became my hero, Rob. Whether he had a blue blazer on or was on a Greyhound bus, I mean, he became my hero.
Well, and Coach Murdock, you know, I've known Stump now, I guess, for better than 12 years, and I don't think there's been a week go by that I haven't had a conversation with him that you didn't come up. And I feel like many times, and I played football for Tyner High School, but I feel like that I might have played for Rossville as well, because I've got to endure most of those stories through the years. And I don't think you're half as tough of coach as he made it out to be, because nobody could have done that.
Oh yeah, he was.
But when I use the word to many coaches when I interview about legendary, I really, really know that fits in this situation. He is a legendary coach.
Mark, tell everybody how tough he was on us.
He was tough.
I told everybody, I said, he treated us all the same. There's no doubt about that. There was no favorites in his house. Probably as far as the football field was. He done a lot of things for us, and we did. We talked about all the stories and all the guys, and then so many of us get together on Christmas Eve, and then we tell more Coach Murdock stories, and you know, he caught at least each one of us doing something. One of my favorites I've got to tell on him is I skipped his class one time, and
what?
Well, we were going to. This was back in the psychedelic days, and Coach, I don't know if you remember this, but we decided we were going to paint the restrooms. I was in the Key Club, and we were going to paint the restrooms psychedelic, all these different colors, because our restrooms are pretty run down as it was, and so we went to Red Bracket's place up on Rossville Boulevard and got paint. Well, Mr. Waite gave us a pass to get out, but then after we got paint, Wendell Holder, myself, I think it was Bobby Brotherton, and Norman Haley, we decided to take a little bit longer than we needed to and miss that math class that we had 5th period. The only thing I can tell you is that the next day he asked who wanted to be first. And I figured I don't want to be last, so I stepped up and got to paddling first. But Coach Murdock could paddle with the best of them. Now I'm telling you, he can bring blisters. Coach, you remember that?
Slightly.
You paddled a bunch of us.
I don't remember the paddling that you're talking about, but I did use the paddle some because my football players, one thing they didn't want to get was a bad grade in conduct in any teacher's class, and that was an extra good lick with the paddle. And of course I wanted all my students, all the football players, of course students too, but wanted them to make at least a passing grade. And I told them if they were making a bad grade, they needed to sit up close to the front of the room and really pay attention to what's going on, and they'd be surprised how much their grade would improve. And I had to encourage a few of them to do that, and it didn't take but a lick or two with a paddle in order
and you got hit just as hard for an S- as you did for you, because I was in that line many times. I think I was really doing good, and I don't think I have to tell you this, or Coach has to tell you. I've always had trouble keeping my mouth shut. But anyway, I got a few of those paddlings. But the many things and the many lessons that Coach Lynn Murdock taught all of us are things that live on. And you've heard me say it here on the show that when I had the open heart surgery, and my doctor came in to talk to me to tell me what I need to do, and I said, all you got to do is tell me what I've got to do to get back in the lineup and get back in the game. And he looked at me and he kind of grinned. I said, well, to me, I've tried to make this look like a game that I had to get back in. And I said, when we were playing ball, Coach Murdock always insisted, that we do what we were supposed to, whether it was put methylate on it or whether it was get in the hot tub, which we had one of the first hot tubs ever in this area as far as that. But I said, you tell me what we got to do, and we did it. We got back at work in 2.5 weeks after heart surgery, but that was because of Coach Murdock and the things that he taught us, not because of me. But Coach, you used to tell us this, that one day we might be fighting for our lives or for our families' lives, or we might have to hang on that cliff for a while. And I think that's probably meant more to me than many of the lessons I've learned. I think that, and the fact that you took us to church every Sunday, to a different church throughout the community, I think those are the things, and Mark, you correct me if I'm wrong, but those are things that really stood out in my life.
Oh, definitely. That meant a lot to me, and I know just all the different football players, and most of them went. It wasn't mandatory at all, but most of them actually went, so it was good memories.
Oh, it wasn't mandatory?
No.
If you got an S-,
it was mandatory for me, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I don't remember. You were behind me now, but I don't remember anybody missing that one. So.
I would say if you got an S-, it was mandatory.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't remember anybody missing when I was in school. I will tell you that. Coach, I don't think it would be right if I didn't mention this on the show tonight. And we were coming out of the Christmas Eve get-together that we had over at Wally's in East Ridge this year. I walked out with Robert Buchanan and James Clark. And Robert Buchanan and James Clark were pretty much our first African Americans to play on our football team. And Robert stopped, and we'd never had a conversation because, when we were in school, honestly, I never even thought about that. They were Bulldogs. We were all Bulldogs, And Robert stopped, and he looked at me, and he started talking, Coach, about what a difference you made in people's lives. And then he stopped, and he talked about how good you were to him and James. And and the differences you made in their life. Would you like to share that with us? Because I know it was during a time that maybe we didn't understand. There might have been conflicts, but you took us all through it where that nobody even thought about it being a conflict.
Well, I tell you, James and Robert turned out, well, they were just fine young men to start with, and I hope that we added something to their standard that they had for themselves, and they were good football players for one thing, but they were very good people. And it's amazing that those two young men kind of kept a lot of the other students in line in school. They'd be pretty quick to tell someone else, hey, we don't need to do that around here. You need to leave that off, and you don't need to do that. Of course, I remember James, I think it was the 10th grade when he was in spring practice. We were scrimmaging one day, and he ran the ball several times, and I thought, well, there's one thing about it, either we've got a pretty good back or we have the SARS defense we've had in a long time. And because we were having a hard time tackling him. And of course, Robert was a real good football player too. He was unfortunate he got an injury that hampered him there for a while, but those were fine young men. They just I still, really think a lot of them. James came by to see me probably, last summer, and drove down there, and of course I was down in the garden working. I was hot and sweaty, and I came up, and the closer I got, I said, that's James Clark. And we had a good time there. We sat down in a swing and had a good conversation.
I never forget, Coach, we played Red Bank my junior year, and folks, this is the team that I talk about a lot because in 1969 we did not have a starter that weighed 200 pounds. Stuart Shankles and Eddie Turner at 195 were the biggest we had. Although if we'd have weighed Stuart once the season got on, Stuart might have weighed over 200 pounds. But that team, we played Red Bank. And there's two things I remember in that game especially. One, the coach, and I think his name was Coach Kofer from Red Bank, had said that they had to wear white because they didn't have any blue jerseys. And Coach came into the meeting, he said, I just told him he needed to go to Martin Thompson, look out Sporting Goods and buy some because we were wearing our white jerseys. And of course we had a good year that year and went 9-1. But in that game, James Clark made one of the greatest runs I've ever seen to this day. He went into a pile and he disappeared, and then all of a sudden James comes out the other side of the pile, and we ended up beating them, I think it was 20-6. They had a guy named Bobby White that led the city in rushing, and we shut him down. But in that game also, Robert Buchanan caught Bobby White for about a 20-yard loss because he kept running back and forth because our defense was so fast and so quick. Coach, you remember the game against Red Bank?
Yes, I sure do. And I know there was a lot of publicity, about Bobby White, and not a lot about James Clark, but there wasn't any comparison on the two that night that they played. James had a tremendous game, and we were fortunate. We stopped Bobby White pretty good. And as you said, the team wasn't big, but they were quick, and it was a team that we stunted a lot. And because we were small, we didn't want to sit there and let some big guy push us around, so we did a lot of stunning. And that team, in 10 games, the 10 teams gained less than 900 yards. 837, I believe. And so there were some teams that didn't gain hardly anything against us.
And if I'm correct, we only gave up 41 points that year.
I don't remember exactly how many points we gave up, but I know we had a great game against Dalton that year. And they had a quarterback that went on to Tennessee as a kicker, and he had a loss as far as the total offense that he had. I don't remember how many times he got sacked, but quite a few.
Well, in Stuart Shankles, that game was playing against a center from Dalton. I'll never forget his name. It was Transcred Litterdale, and Stuart Shankles in that game was the Atlanta Journal-Constitution State Player of the Week, and they did. They sacked him. And Coach, were they not #1 before we played them down there that night?
I don't know. I don't remember where they were or not, but they were #1 quite a number of times during most of the years. And if I remember correctly, we beat them 28-0 that
yes, sir.
That game. And James Clark had a tremendous game.
Picked off a pass and returned it 107 or 108 yards for a touchdown, which I don't think you'd run out of the end zone today, but back then you could. And one of the longest, of course, interception returns in anybody's career. Beth, let me ask you, you were a cheerleader, and you're always so smiley and bubbly. She's still the same way. I mean, she looks to me like she could go out and cheer now. But tell a little bit about being a cheerleader and cheering for your dad and Rossville Bulldogs back then when you were in school.
Well, it was a wonderful experience. It was just fantastic. Mark was actually playing at the same time that I was cheering, and having my dad be the coach, and having, I always kind of referred to my mom as sort of like a secret weapon, because she, even though my dad, we're celebrating my dad's birthday and celebrating with the whole city, my mom has, she has been his greatest supporter. And so definitely a full family support system, but just to be able to cheer and just it's, I think as we get older, or at least as Mark gets older anyway, but as we get older, I think that as you get older, you start to appreciate the things that when you are younger you just sort of take for granted. And this is back to your original question of why we're doing what we're doing. Mark and I were just talking and realizing how very special it is to have the parents that we have. And we hear so many people say the same thing, that our parents basically had a hand in raising them as well as raising us. And it's just such an amazing opportunity. It's great for the four of us, but it's great for our children. Our children know Dad as Papa and Mother as Mama, and their children know them as that. And this is an opportunity for our family to be able to see who our parents truly are, and we love them, and we're so excited that we're doing this, and we really hope that the whole community just comes out and supports. And I can't do a cartwheel anymore, but if I could, I would. I would definitely try to do that.
You know, you bring out such a good point, talking, of course, about your mom and the support group. And Miss Murdock, I was going to ask her momentarily ago that, what it felt like with having him be such a good coach, coaching all these good teams at Rossville, and it's not always the easiest thing, I'm sure, when you're living in the household.
What her role was
but
like,
being that biggest support and sharing all these things, how did that feel for you?
Well, I just loved it. I can honestly say I enjoyed every minute of it, and I think I only missed 2 games the whole time that he was head coach, and the one time was when Mark was playing Little League, and he broke his arm, and we were going to be playing at Fannin County that night, and it was raining and cold, and have to go around the river and all like that, and I was going to leave him with a babysitter, and he said, "No, if you go, I go." So I stayed home with my son. And then the second time was when Beth was in college, and she got real sick, and she was really too sick to take care of herself. So I missed the game to take care of her. But those are the only 2 games I missed. And when they were in high school at Rossville High School, I was also working there in the office, so we were all 4 at the high school. And I believe during those years that they were there, every cheerleader poster was made in our basement. Our ping pong table still has the paint on it to prove it. So it was a fun time. We really enjoyed it.
And Miss Murdock, you know, coaches and players alike, before Friday night got here, butterflies were in their stomach. They were excited about that event. For you being the coach's wife, did you come across that same type of nervousness as well? Did you get nervous about ball games?
I don't really remember that. I just, you know, I wanted the team to do good and Lynn to do good and all, but I don't really remember being all that nervous about it. Just enjoyed it.
Yeah, speaking of the alumni there at Rossville, have you all actually been in the alumni room yet at the community center? And I'm sure that
amazing.
Fills you with pride.
It is
amazing.
It's
just absolutely beautiful, incredible. Yeah. And to have such part of that history there.
Yes.
Right.
Mark, I'll talk to you a little bit about, I mean, when you played, and of course I enjoyed getting to watch you play ball, and he was a running back, and the one thing I remember most about him as a running back, 1, he was a real good blocker, and 2, nobody ran behind his blockers any better than Mark did. And if there's a play I keep thinking about you, it was what we used to refer to as a power off tackle. By any chance, was that your favorite play?
Oh, I did enjoy that. It was like I kind of cut back a little bit, yeah. I enjoyed running that play.
And you were number 24?
And I was, and I really, though, enjoyed back then we could actually, you know, block the legs.
Yes.
And I loved, like, you know, big defensive ends, and I was, you know, like 155 pounds. I used to love to run, and I would knock the feet out from under them, and I enjoyed that more than anything.
Question for Mark. Have to ask it. The coach being your dad and being your coach, what kind of pressure did that put you under, and how did you separate sometimes the fact of father to coach?
He was great. You know, one thing, I never knew what to call him. I certainly wasn't going to call him Dad out on the practice field. And then I felt funny calling him Coach, so I just kind of never really called him anything. You know, I would get to watch the game films before anybody else, and he didn't ask me to do that. I wanted to do it, and you know, it was just, I don't know. I guess there was a little bit of extra pressure, but my dad was just great. He didn't put any extra pressure on me, I don't think.
Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. We've gone 28 minutes without a commercial break. But
we're
here with Coach Lynn Murdock, his family tonight. Tomorrow, a big day with a birthday celebration starting at 1 o'clock down to Rossville Community Center. And we come back, Mark and I are going to try to decide how we messed up and sent our kids to Lakeview. You're watching Stump On Sports.
Late night.
Give a little love, and it all comes back to you. You're gonna be remembered for the things that you say and do. You give a little love, and it all comes back to you.
Begin your future at Georgia Northwestern Technical College. We offer degrees, diplomas, and certificates in over 200 programs of study. Choose a career in business, health, industrial, or public service. With the flexibility of day, evening, and online classes at any of our 5 campus locations, getting your education at GNTC has never been more convenient. There are many financial aid options available, including student loans. Apply now. Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Your college, your town, your future.
A beautiful smile is always in style, and a key to that smile is dental care that is right for you from Dr. Brian Songer, where a gentle approach and excellent clinical skills will make you and your family more comfortable than you ever thought possible. Dr. Songer believes in higher standards of dental care, and he provides progressive family dentistry specializing in preventative care, quality restorations, and cosmetic dentistry. Enjoy a lifetime of healthy, beautiful smiles with Dr. Brian Songer and his excellent, friendly staff.
Gas Family Pharmacists take you back in time when your druggist actually knew you by name and offered you the personal caring service that you deserve. With 5 convenient locations to serve you, you'll find a level of customer service not found at the chain stores. Each pharmacy is well stocked, and you can often get special prescription items the very same day. Most prescription insurance cards are accepted with the same copay as the chains. Don't go all the way to Chattanooga when you have compounding pharmacies right here in North Georgia. Each pharmacy will help you resolve prescription insurance problems, and each pharmacy offers a free 30-day supply, low-dose aspirin and/or multivitamin for their regular senior customers. Fast service, usually in 10 minutes, at Gas Family Pharmacies. Not that 2-hour wait that the chain stores offer.
Begin your future at Georgia Northwestern Technical College. We offer degrees, diplomas, and certificates in over 200 programs of study. Choose a career in business, health, industrial, or public service. With the flexibility of day, evening, and online classes at any of our 5 campus locations, getting your education at GNTC has never been more convenient. There are many financial aid options available, including student loans. Apply now. Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Your college, your town, your future. Begin your future at Georgia Northwestern Technical College. We offer degrees, diplomas, and certificates in over 200 programs of study. Choose a career in business, health, industrial, or public service. With the flexibility of day, evening, and online classes at any of our 5 campus locations, getting your education at GNTC has never been more convenient. There are many financial aid options available, including student loans.